I was raised Christian, and I've been an atheist. But these days I'm a pantheist and a soft polytheist. Basically, I believe all things are connected, there is some mysterious spiritual energy or force that permeates all things. This might be a purely human perception though, but I still find it a useful idea to embrace. And the gods are symbolic rather than literal beings. Sadly, because I like rigorous clarity, atheists are often as rude and intolerant as those who follow monotheist faiths. In my experience, some of the nicest people in the world are either Buddhist or pagan. But anyway, here's a rundown of what I think about the world's religions. I'm not keen on the three Abrahamic faiths. Christianity and Islam in particular seem to have a needlessly prudish, against pretty much all of sex outside marriage, and authoritarian morality. They often seem to encourage feelings of guilt in their followers and undermine people's faith in their own reasoning or self-determination. Often they place people at war with their own bodies and sexual needs. I don't think any of this is healthy. They have an extremely bad track record in their treatment of LGBT people, women, and people with unorthodox beliefs. They are often extremely negative in their attitude towards other religions, and they obsess over the text of their religious scriptures. I'm sorry, but words written by men will never trump actual experience or evidence when it comes to establishing truth. I am less negative in my attitude towards Judaism. Yes, they follow a moral code that seems excessively rigid and at times downright nonsensical, but from what I'm aware they seem to celebrate intellectual debate about what their scriptures mean, and this already makes Judaism seem better than Christianity or Islam. Also, there's no hellfire in Jewish scripture, and I don't think Jews even believe in hell, really. That's another reason that Judaism is not as bad as Christianity or Islam. Other faiths I view in a much more positive light. Buddhism seems to point towards some kind of truth and really does seem to work as a form of self-help. It is a rational philosophy. Buddhists are encouraged to reflect on their beliefs and discover truth for themselves. The teachings are guidance, and it is ultimately very pragmatic. I find myself drawn to Buddhism, and it has certainly touched my life and influenced me. My main stumbling blocks when it comes to Buddhism is that I'm not sure it is possible to ever completely extinguish desire and attachment. The best you can hope for is to detach yourself long enough to gain a better perspective on things when life gets too much. But anyway, I keep turning back to it for insight at certain points in my life. It's a learning process, and maybe one day I'll get it properly like I never have before. Anyway, it does seem a much better philosophy to live your life by than many others. I'm drawn to polytheistic representations of the divine. I'm a writer of fantasy stories, so that probably explains why I'm drawn to mythology. It's my creative side. Hinduism has many positive qualities. One divine energy that manifests as different deities, a belief that all gods are one god, that the different faiths are simply different paths that lead to the same destination, that all things are ultimately one thing, our souls, Atman, are all actually one essence, Brahman, that exists in all things. Separation is actually an illusion, and all things are one. These are beautiful ideas. There is wisdom in the Hindu faith, but I feel as a Westerner I will always be something of an outsider. Then there is paganism. There are many different forms of paganism, of course, but as modern recreations of ancient traditions, pagan movements are mostly very progressive in their ideals and morality. Pagan faiths are usually very accepting of LGBT people, they tend to be egalitarian about gender, women being just as likely to occupy positions of spiritual authority as men. And I say spiritual authority, but actually pagan movements tend to be very egalitarian anyway, and pagan priests certainly do not lord it over the layman like priests in other religions might. Pagan faiths honour and worship nature, which I think is beautiful. And they have a notion of blessedness, that everything that exists is God-breathed and sacred, a belief in opposition to a lot of other faiths which often view the world or human nature as broken and in need of fixing. Obviously, you shouldn't seek to hurt others, and there is often a lip service to Eastern ideas such as karma. The Wiccan law of three comes to mind. Pagan marriage is very different to the ideas of marriage in other faiths, and they also have a ritual for letting go of a relationship that has come to an end. I don't know enough about Sikhism, Zoroastrianism, Taoism or Confucianism to really speak about my opinions of those faiths, but I hope you've enjoyed my little video about my opinions of the religions I do know about. I'm not actually a member of any religion. I tend to follow my own beliefs in my own way by myself, and I don't attend any groups or rituals. I don't even do much in the way of rituals when I practice my spirituality at home, just a little bit of prayer and meditation. But I find the whole subject of religion and spirituality fascinating. Certain forms of religion seem less healthy and more damaging to me, and I can feel as angry as an atheist when it comes to those forms of religion flexing their muscles to try to control and manipulate people, especially when they are intolerant towards women, LGBT or other faiths. But I feel it's important to try and build bridges between different communities, and I live in hope of a time when we can communicate our own different beliefs to each other in an attitude of mutual respect and peace. That has to be the most godly thing to do, after all. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.